I finally got my truck running. Got the motor doing everything I want it to do. New instrument cluster. Redid the seat. That's a seat cover with a different seat in it. Put seat belts in it. A little cup holder right there. That's a little USB-C charger that you can see glowing blue. 5-speed. I'm still finishing up a few things, but mostly I've got it for the most part where I want it. Rebuilt the transmission. It shifts like a dream. And when I'm driving down the road, this thing, you've got a hole there that you can take a pin. This is how they've got it set up. And you just put that pin in there, and that's what kind of holds it steady. But as you can see, there's a ton of wiggle room there. And this is what you hear going down the road. So, it's annoying. So this is what I came up with. I took a piece of flat bar and put it through the little Harbor Freight ring roller right there. And I just kept rolling it until I got roughly the inside diameter of this. And it took a little bit of trial and error, but basically I tack welded it to the back here and rotated it until basically I got the best movement out of it all the way around. So see, I can still rotate it, do everything I want to do, but when I want to lock it down, not only do I have the pin option here, there we go, so I can stick my pin in it just like it's already set up to do. But I can also take a 3/8 ratchet, put it right here, and tighten this down. Now, after I did this, see, that cinches that ring around the base here just by tightening that in. And it does not move. But what does move is all of this, mostly up here. See how much that rocks. So I fixed this problem. It absolutely locked that down completely, but I still have this one to solve. Honestly, what I'm seriously considering doing, these go up to what, 1,000 pounds? I've considered using one of these right here on it for the other part of it. So this one will pick up 2,000 pounds, I believe. You've got a pivot here. It's actually got it braced here, so either making something similar to this or using one of these. If I can, I've got a buddy that's got 2 or 3 of these that I might be able to trade him out of one. But that gives me a 2-ton arm. It's actually a little bit longer, a little bit heavier duty. Now, looking at it, at this one, it's relatively short for one, and it's lighter duty. Now, this was set up to where basically, I think your base was like here or something. I forget what it was. Actually, there's where the seam was. I took 2 of these and welded the tubes together and made one longer. And then I made this piece to attach to my boxes. So the strength of this and the way it mounts is far, 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 far better. These were made to mount into the bed, and you had no support up here. So just adding this brace makes this thing super, super solid. You're going to have to literally rip this box apart and do a bunch of other stuff. This is on the strongest part of the box, and it's bolted into a super strong tailgate that's not going anywhere. So, you know, this part is pretty beefy. It's far beefier than it would have been by its normal design. So if I just essentially keep this and get rid of this part of it, basically, or upgrade that part of it, either take and do a new one of these, or actually take a longer one and go out further in that direction. That actually gives it far, far, far more leverage on the boom. And what I thought about doing is getting one of these that are air powered, similar to this one. Now, what I don't know about is how that's going to live, how well it'll work. So you've got this. So I could put one of these on it. And that would really be strong. I mean, you'd easily be able to lift whatever you wanted to with it at that point. But instead of it coming from a low point here up, it would be coming from a point here out. So it's kind of the opposite of this. So this is closer in on this one and further down on that one. What I would have is closer in on this one and further down on that one. So same basic concept. Another thing that I like about this setup with this thing is I can tighten it enough to where it makes this movable but harder to move. So it's almost like applying a brake to the rotation here. There has been a time or two I picked something up and it wanted to swing around, because as long as you take that pin out, it's going wherever it wants to go, basically. There's not a lot of friction holding it anywhere. So now this gives me the ability to sort of control that a little bit better, and it goes where I want it to go, and then it'll stop, and I can lock it at any rotation that I want to, essentially. So that's one thing I'm thinking about doing. Now this is a Harbor Freight lift. Man, I've had this thing forever. Another thing that I did is I welded a hook right here. So I just took a chain hook, cut the parts off of it that go onto the chain, and then I welded it along that seam there and on the other side. Made me a little 2x2 piece of plate here and welded that to the end. So now if I want to pick something up, say with the chain, I can just go boop, drop it right in that. It holds it real easy. No real adjustment, and I keep a chain in the back of my truck. You can see it right there most of the time. So I am going to redo my ladder rack here. I didn't do this, somebody else did, and I'm not real happy with it. It was the length of that one in the rear, and I busted my head on that thing way too many times. But overall, I am really happy with my little truck. I wired in, flashlight. I wired in a brake booster here, or a brake, what do you call it, trailer brake thing there. I'm still working on the radio, but that's one of those really expensive, stupid radios that they only make that kind, and it fits in this slot, but it's Bluetooth and USB and all that. So I've got it in there, and I've got my speakers just sort of hanging out, kind of temporarily just sitting there, but buddy, it's nice. I like it. Still got a lot to do on the inside, just a little bit here and there of tinkering. But I got the motor in. Sorry. It's nice and clean. I've got all my sensors and everything hooked up really good. It's not leaked a drop of oil, not used a drop of oil since I've used it. One thing I've got to do is windshield wiper fluid to there. And this overflow tank is the second one I put on it from another truck that didn't work. So I've got to redo that. This came out of a different truck, and the hookup to this little snorkel thing right here is different. So I've got to make something for that. And I've got to figure out where I'm going to put all my AC stuff. My compressor is going to go here. That bracket right there is going to be the start of where my compressor goes. I've got to get something to either run it off the serpentine belt here, or you can see the water pump's got a third pulley, but my crank don't. So I'll have to either add a pulley down there so I can go crank, water pump, AC thing. I've got these coming next week, and I've got these coming, those turn signal lights coming next week. The bezel is new. That's not new, but I like it better than the new one that I've got. So I'm going to replace all my lights all the way around. Those are LED, really, really nice lights. They're like 80 bucks. The ones you buy at the store that are glass and halogen are actually about the same amount the last time I bought it, and I really like the way those work. So that's getting fixed. When I first got it, I had all kinds of problems. My right turn signal, I didn't realize it, but I was driving around screwing everybody up. But when I turned my headlights on, the right turn signal indicator would just stay on. And my right turn signal didn't work at all. My left turn signal did work. And what I ended up going all over the stinking place, and I don't have it, but the bulb socket down there, now this is the left side, the right side's hard to see, but I popped that bulb socket out, and there's a little pin that goes to the 1157 bulb ground on the side, and it was missing. So using that truck that's way over there that you can just barely see, I clipped one of those out of it and replaced it, and that fixed that problem. But then I also, the wires, I think you can see them in here somewhere. I don't see them. I had to rerun. You can see these wires right here in that wire loom. That goes back to the rear of my truck. And I've started installing these little boxes and everything. That's a junction box that actually goes on a trailer. And I put them on the back of my boxes now, or my trucks. And then I can just wire right from that, and it's all color coded and everything, to these. So now that one was on it and it's disconnected now. So that one's just junk. I'm actually going to take it off. But see, now I've got the 6 round, which is something I've run into enough to have one. The 4 flat and the 7 flat, which seems to be the industry standard now. And I made me a little bracket that holds both of them, and both of my trucks has a bracket like this. So I've got 3 of your major ones right here. They're all wired together, so everything works. Whichever one I need, I just plug into whichever one I need. So I made this hitch. I took this receiver hitch, it's one of the longest ones they sell, went way back and tied it in back there, and then I made these to where I can take a chain and set in there if I need to, or it just works as standard, safety hooks. I can also hook to these as well. I don't really like this vise or the mount. I didn't do that, somebody else did, but I'm going to probably redo all of that. And my ladder rack, I'm going to redo. This is the wrong size tubing, as you can see. I'm going to get the right tubing, basically remake this. Again, I didn't make this thing. This was kind of thrown together. And what I'm going to do is, essentially it'll be the same thing, but this up here will be square tubing instead of round tubing. It'll be square that comes out to here, and I'll be able to slide tubing in and go all the way across on both front and back. And essentially what that gives me the ability to do is I'll have square tubing here with uprights on both sides. If I've just got one ladder to slide on there, works fine. I'll also have these, but I'm actually going to put a piece of angle here where you've got a flat surface, not a knife, for that to sit on. So like, this is actually a ladder. It breaks down really quickly. It's really lightweight. And basically that just gives me a ladder. What I am going to do is when I make this flat, either protruding this way or this way, I'm going to have a clamp that'll just either spring loaded or some kind of clamp that'll just grab this and hold it in place so it can't really go anywhere. Really quick way to just throw it on there and roll with it. And then essentially I'll cut that one off and do the same thing. And then I'm going to put one of these brackets like this on the other side as well. And so my front rack will go all the way across. My back rack will just be here with the option of extending across, and it'll probably come across, and then I'll put a socket somewhere in line here. So you'll have one upright that goes beside this thing. You'd still be able to swing this out to the back and use it if you needed to. You just wouldn't be able to come this way. But it would be removable and probably not be on it 90% of the time. You just have a socket here that would be there for that. Air compressor is going to go either up here or over there, and then I'm going to put a small tank across the front here. Similar to my other truck. I don't know if I've ever shown that one, but it's actually a really small tank. It's about 3 or 4 inches in diameter, and it just goes across here. It's very small, don't have a lot of capacity, but what that gives me is really quick build up on my air compressor, fire it up, and you're ready to go. And 99% of the time, an air compressor, I'm just using it for tires. I just want to fill a tire up, blow something off, something simple like that. And I just don't, I've got a small air compressor. I used to have really great big ones to run air tools, but battery tools have basically replaced that. So I'm probably going to have air compressor and whatever else, and then I'm going to have one of those brackets up here that mate to that one. And essentially I'll have a headache rack that comes over across to where if I do have something long, I had a friend of mine borrow my truck and he dented the top of my truck right here because he laid ladders on it and messed that up. So if he ever borrows it again, I won't have a way to give him something else to lean it up on and not dent my truck up. Because this one, the body's actually in pretty decent shape. There's a rust hole right there. Overall though, it's in pretty good shape. There's some dents on the hood, but I mean, it's in good shape for the age that it is. So I've got a little bit more to do, but I'm really liking my truck. I like the way it's set up now. It's rock solid. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to bore this hole out to a bigger hole, and the inside as well. And right now they've just got a hole drilled through it. What I'm probably going to do is a sleeve that goes through the inside of this, weld it in. Well, I'll probably bore the hole on this big enough that the sleeve goes all the way around, and then I'll weld around both sides. That will really tighten this up, and it'll actually be quite a bit stronger as well. And then I'll drill a hole in the top, maybe the top, for a grease fitting. I might go from the bottom up and just have like a extended one so you can come in from the side and grease it from the underside. But that's probably what I'm going to do there. And I think if I tighten this up, none of this is going to really be a big deal at that point. I'm also going to replace this with a synthetic rope. I did that on my other one as well. I really like the way that was set up. The other one I actually put a 12-volt hydraulic setup on it, and I may eventually do the same thing here. I bought a little swivel thing here, had a hydraulic hose that came down, and it actually worked okay. It was a little too fast. I didn't like how fast it was. But if you are going to get into welding and you are on the fence and you just want something cheap, that welding helmet is awesome. I've got Miller's. I've probably got 6 or 7 welding helmets, and that's my favorite one 99% of the time. I've got 2 or 3 of these. These welding helmets, you see the sensor is down here. That's actually how it knows when you've got an arc. And you've got the settings and everything back here. What I like about these, I don't know if I can do this with one hand, but this pops open. And let's see, I can't really do it. This thing we'll do a 180. So you can put the sensor, instead of on the bottom, it'll be on the top. Now all your stuff will be upside down, but there have been several times that I'm welding in an awkward position and the position of that sensor screws me up because I'm welding and something's blocking the sensor and I get flashed. So being able to put the sensor at the top or the bottom is really nice. And the visibility is great. They're good little welding helmets. I don't remember what I paid for them, but it's not like their best. Their best one is the Vulcan, and it does like a blue tint, and these do green. That's never really been a big deal to me, but some people like the blue better. But that's a fantastic welding helmet. And this little flux core welder is the bomb. I've got 3 of these now. I've got one, this one stays in my shop. I've got one that's going to go in this truck, essentially. They're small enough that you can stick them in a truck and they're good. So you have that and gloves and some other stuff. If you need to tack something together, weld something, you can get 110. That's a 12 gauge extension cord, and as long as I keep it low or I do it in short spurts, it does a good job. But you can also, I've got a 10 gauge extension cord over there that's like 50 foot, and you can weld on it all day long with that. So, you know, you don't have to wire up a different outlet. Now, you do want a 20 amp outlet for this or you'll trip breakers like crazy. But it's a great way to get started in welding. You can weld some pretty thick stuff. I've welded, let's see, I think it's a 20-something foot I-beam in the middle. So it was like 15 feet or 10 feet or whatever in either direction. And in the middle, I welded using one of these welders. And we pick up 600-800 pounds with that thing. So it's at the weakest point is where I actually welded it with this. And I was burning through the I-beam. It's a 1/4 inch thick I-beam, I think. It may be a little bit thicker. At the joints, it's actually really thick. And I was welding so hot with this. Now that's maxed out. I was having to wait on the duty cycle a good bit. But where I was welding, I could just run a cord to this welder, throw that shoulder strap on my shoulder, and weld the I-beam where it was at, in place. And a lot of times you really need to weld stuff in place, and that was perfect for that. Would a stick welder have been better? Maybe. But for some reason, man, that flux core does a really good job. I've been real impressed with it. So, but yeah, I just thought, you know, minimal tools, making that work. Gives me a little bit better way to lock that in place. I think they should have come out with something like this from the factory. And I think they should have put something like this on it from the factory. But, you know, a little bit of TLC, and you can take something that maybe doesn't have anywhere near the capacity, make it better, do a lot of cool stuff. I've got all my tools in this one now. The next thing I've got to do is that truck over there. You can barely see it. That's a 1-ton truck. It's got the same tool body basically as this one's got. Real similar, same capacity. The tool body's coming off of that, and it'll go on this chassis. So this chassis right here has got a flatbed on it. That flatbed is coming off. The cab is coming off. And I'm probably going to cut the cab right along here, so you'll have, the bed will start back here, you'll have a platform here, and then your trailer hookup will be out here somewhere. And that's going to be my welding trailer that replaced the other one that I traded off. And it's actually going to be bigger, so I like it better. And then this is going to go on that truck. But I'm also going to take, it's got a crew cab on it now, which is handy sometimes, but it's not like I want to take my family everywhere I go with that truck. So this cab is going to go on that truck. It's a single cab. I actually like that body style better anyway, to be honest. So I'm going to put that cab on that truck. So it's going to shorten my cab to somewhere in this area. And what I might do is either a big job site box here, or I might do a flatbed that comes all the way to the rear of my cab. So if I've got my cab that's essentially here, and it's, this one may be a little bit longer than that one, I don't know. Either way, that goes there. I've got a lot of stuff that when I first got this truck, I did this dash. I cut the old dash out of it. I put air conditioning in it, and everything is great. But I don't really like, I've traded this back and forth so many times with a buddy of mine, and he's redone a lot of the wiring. My indicator lights don't work anymore. I had switches for turning on cooling fans and stuff. He's taken all that out. And honestly, I just don't feel like dealing with it anymore. So this one's got a lot of other issues. It's power windows, which I don't really like. I'd prefer the manual windows. I know that sounds stupid, but I like them better. So I'm probably going to take this out. The other cab is actually set up for a 5-speed. It's already got clutch pedal and everything in place. It's got the hump that's higher. This one was an automatic, and I had to convert it. And this is the first truck I did all of this stuff to. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't like the way I did this. I don't like this part of the dash sticking out so far. And after having 2 accidents in the past 4 or 5 months, you hit that with your head and you're dead. I don't like that anymore. So my passenger, I'm a little bit afraid for whoever rides in the passenger side of this cab. So I could completely redo the entire dash. That is a possibility, but that's a lot of work when I could just drop a cab that's already got a factory dash, already set up, everything I really want. And, you know, I'm just probably going to go that route. I like it better anyway. So I'll end up with a factory dash from a that's actually an 88 model, which is the same model as this truck, but it's just the newer body style. That gets rid of all of this. That seat's not right anyway. There's just a lot with this truck that's not right, and it's not good. So this is all going to come out. And I'll end up with a single cab with a flatbed with a 5th wheel. And see, that's my air compressor I'm putting on the other truck. And that tank is similar to what I'm going to do on the other truck. I'm going to leave this one on this tool body. It won't work on my other truck because the divider right here goes all the way to the top, and you see this one drops down. Now, I have considered cutting the other one down and dropping it down just like this one. And to be honest with you, I'm still seriously considering that, because that would give me essentially the exact same setup I have over here, and I really like it. And all it would really be is just cut down, cut across, and it'll set right down. So I may actually just transfer everything over here. But this will end up being my welding trailer, quote unquote. I'm going to keep this bumper with my flatbed, and then my flatbed will be like 11 foot long. So that'd be a handy truck for a lot of things. So that's where that one's going to go. And then this one of the next things I've got to do when I put air conditioning in it, I ordered a kit, and the kit didn't work as well as I thought it would, but it was like $600. So what it came with is an underdash AC evaporator, and this is it right here. So this will fit if that wasn't on it. If these fans weren't so right where they are, it wouldn't be an issue. So what I'm thinking about doing is modifying this to where this goes in the middle of my dash under it. It would fit, it would, you know, as long as it's this size, it wouldn't be an issue. But these just hit the back of my firewall, and I can't put it in. But if I were to take the fans, extend the wiring and all that crap to the fans, and all of this, so just imagine this gets cut, all of this is over here with duct that comes over here. So you cut these fans out, you replace the fans in the back with a piece of duct work. So you'd have a flat plate that would bolt in place of this. with a big ductwork thing that goes in here, and then I think I have enough room. What I might do is actually come in at the top, put my ductwork at the top, because all it needs to do is blow through the evaporator that's in there and into here. So as long as I can get my airflow to go in through that evaporator and out the front, then all the rest of this can stay the same. And then my fans will mount up under this part of the dash. So basically I'm just cutting all this, shifting all this over where there is room under the passenger side, and then just running duct over to this that will allow me to basically mount this using this bracket up under my dash. And so then I can just reach down. This will be in front of my gear shifter, tucked away, and I'll have air conditioning from this that I can run. It's just that isn't going to work. I wish they would make these a little bit differently. I guess if you got one of the old 1950s trucks or something, it works, but the 80s models, that just gets in the way. So like I said, I think, if I'm thinking right, I can essentially cut through there, through, you know, be like taking a knife and just slicing all the way through there. The only thing that might be in my way is this evaporator, or expansion valve, sorry. But I think what I can do is I can turn this way. I can put a 90 here, and over on this side it's going into the passenger floorboard. So this isn't as big of a deal. Where it's hitting is over here in this area. So as long as I can move all this stuff over and then get some flexible ductwork that will slide over and maybe into the top here or something. So, you know, your ductwork would come over here. Your fans would still work and function. It's just they're located in a different place. So then I've got air conditioning, because, I mean, I have sweated all day long. And there's the rest of the kit. You've got basically everything you need. Well, that's not it, but see, there's your lines and all that stuff. There's relays for the fan, all your fittings, and I've got the crimper to crimp these. I think that's the condenser, and then that's a fan for it. But I've also got a bigger fan over here that I'm probably going to put in, which I like a lot better. It's got more CFM, and it's a bigger surface area. So that one's probably gonna do that. So either way, that's my old instrument cluster that was in the truck, and that's coming out. I'm actually going to use these gauges though and build a cradle to put engines in, because I've got a bunch of engines. And a lot of these are good engines. That one's supposedly good. That one was good, but it needed a little bit of TLC. I think we put a new crank in it. One of these, either that one or that one, we put a new crankshaft in, and then the camshaft was bad. But I've got camshaft. I've got all that stuff that needs to go in them. But what I'd like to be able to do is, if I don't know what it is, you know, this one came from somebody that said it was good, and that one did too, and that one did too, and that one was supposedly good, but the block's cracked. So there's good parts in it that I'm going to rob. But I want a way of building these, testing them. I've got a brand new radiator that I'm going to use for it. Basically, I'm going to take the front end of one of the trucks that I've got cut in half, and I'm actually going to build a cart using that will kind of set down on the ground. I'm going to have an arm that goes out so it's real nice and stable. 12-volt battery, all the stuff you need to actually run one of these, with like a, you know, a real small, maybe like a 2-gallon fuel tank to actually feed it fuel and everything. But you'd end up with a nice way to test these so you can actually run them right on the engine stand. I've got enough pieces and parts. I can have mufflers and tailpipes and exhaust manifolds, and every bit of that can be in place, and I could test small block and big block Chevys as I need to. So either way, I know I said a whole lot and I was rambling about a whole lot, but that's kind of an update. I've actually done several videos about several different things, including this truck, building the motor, all the different things. I just forget to upload them. I may actually forget to upload this one, I don't know. But I'm going to try not to. So, you guys have a great night, and if you have any questions, what I would love is if anybody is around the Charlotte, North Carolina area that's interested in this stuff, anybody at all, I have a shop that you can do just about anything you want to in, with all kinds of equipment. And I would love to get in touch with some people that are like-minded, that want to learn this stuff, that want to do this stuff, that maybe have the mind to do it, but you don't have the facility, you don't have the stuff. I've spent a long time collecting all the stuff, and if I can share that with someone that has a like mind, where we can get together and learn on stuff together, work on stuff together, I would absolutely love that. So if you are around Charlotte and you want to do some of this stuff, sorry, putting tools up while I'm talking, then get in touch with me. Send me a message. I'd love to get together with some people. What I'd really like is something like a HackerCon type deal, where people that enjoy this stuff can get together and put our brains together, because there's so many things I'd love to be able to do, but there's skill sets that I just don't have, and I don't have time for. I don't have time to learn. I've learned a lot, but there are certain skill sets that I just, if I had a friend that I could say, hey, help me write a Arduino script for da-da-da-da-da, or help me with some electronics stuff, or help me with some code, or help me with whatever, then the things that we could do are really just limited by what we want to do. It's our imagination at that point. And, you know, we can do anything from automotive to fabrication, welding, to machining, to, you know, heavy equipment stuff. Here we have options if we want to use them. So if anybody around Charlotte would like to do that, or even if you're further away and want to drive up, you know, I don't care. I'm looking for people that have the same mind to do things as I do and would like to actually get together and do something. So give me a call if you can, or shoot me a text and we'll get together and we'll make some crap, or come up with some stuff. So have a good day, or a good night, I guess.